everybody, welcome to Tammy Talks. I am Tammy. Here on my channel, we talk TV, pop culture, and sometimes when they mix and mesh together, we talk about that too. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'm pushing for 1,000 subscribers, so we are super, super close, but I can do that with your help. So, we are here today to talk All American. Season 4, Episode 1. Let me double check the title because I forgot. Survival of the Fittest. So this episode, I did not take notes. I didn't even know that the episode was coming back on tonight, but I did want to talk about it because I thought it was a really, really good episode. So what I kind of want to do is kind of talk about each person separately, and hopefully it makes sense at the end, and then I will have better notes for next week. So, I kind of want to get Layla out of the way first. So the episode starts with Layla and Carrie, crazy Carrie. They are still driving, and they get to like this clearing where it's like overlooking LA. Um, Layla's confused and kind of wondering like, why are we here? And Carrie is like, well, this is where we're going. This is it. And she gets out and they're looking out at the city all together. And I'm sorry, but you knew that girl was crazy. I'm not getting out the car and walking towards the edge of a cliff with you. That's not gonna happen. So they get out and they're walking towards the cliff, and Carrie like grabs her hand. Um, Carrie grabs her hand, and they're talking, and it's like, we can finally, this is it. We can finally be free. You know, your father has left you, your mother has left you, and all these people have abandoned you, and you're sad and all this other stuff. And Layla was like, my mom died. Like, she didn't abandon me. And Carrie is basically projecting her feelings and her hurt, her insecurities, her pain onto Layla. And Carrie's saying, girl, we can end it all together and we can jump. And I said, Lord have mercy. So we see Layla trying to pull away, Carrie pulling her ass. I said, watch, they gonna fuck around. Oh, let me not cuss in this recap. They're gonna mess around and fall over the cliff. So we hear Layla screaming, and then it kind of like pans to an empty bedroom, and we see Layla's father come rushing in. And I was like, oh, great. There's some type of like recording, that can help him go get his daughter. But we see Layla is on the floor and she's having a nightmare. I don't know why she was asleep on the floor. They did not address that. If they did, I definitely missed it, but that's where that is. So then we see we're over at the championship game. No, let me stick with Layla. So we see Layla's father trying to talk to her, trying to get her to kind of open up about what is going on with her, because like that's a very traumatic experience. You lived through something that is just kind of like, you lived through something that a lot of people don't. Like you saw your life flash before your eyes, right? And they haven't made it clear at this point if Carrie is dead or not, or whatever happened with Carrie. So we see that Layla's kind of being kind of short with her dad. She doesn't want to get involved. She feels like her dad is overbearing. He's like hovering over her, and she just really just needs some space, right? So we see her go over to Jordan's house looking for Olivia, and she meets up with Jordan, and Jordan is so precious. So he's like super awkward, and she was like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, I promised I wouldn't be awkward around you. And then he hugs her and it's like, I'm just so glad you're okay. And sometimes I forget that they've all been friends since they were kids. So Olivia asks if she, I'm sorry, Layla asks if she can just hang out at their house because, like, being at her house is so much right now with her dad. And Jordan just kind of tells her, like, you got to kind of understand, like, what your dad is going through. He's worried about you. We were all worried about you. So, it's kind of like have some grace for your father. So we see Layla back home. No, Layla goes to the recording studio where she's working on Coop's album, and her dad her dad shows up and she's like, "How do you know I'm here?" He's like, "Oh, I thought I could help you out with the album." And Layla's like, "Nope, I'm actually gonna go, I think she said to like the record store or something like that." And he's like, "Oh, I'll come with you." And she's like, "No, I can go by myself. I'm fine. I'm actually meeting up with Jordan, who is going to Jordan's gonna help me out so I won't be alone." We see later in the episode, Jordan meets up with her at like the little coffee shop that they go to in Crenshaw, and he's like, "If you're gonna use me as an alibi, you gotta let me know, cause your dad called me. He has the Find My Phone app on for you now, so I promised him I would come. But we can come, why don't we go see Spencer and check on him?" And Layla is she doesn't want to see Spencer just yet. And it's because, she's hurt that Spencer and Olivia both lied to her about what was going on. And she really, I think she's able to get past it with Olivia a little more, because Olivia did not lie to her. Spencer lied to her because, he told her that he loves her and all this other stuff. And then come to find out, he like messed around with Olivia or kissed Olivia right after that. So, I mean, that would have me kind of tight too. So, she's staying away from Spencer and she's like, no. So, we see at the end of the episode that um Layla does take Spencer's talk to heart, and she goes and has a conversation with her dad where I guess we get that she asked if she could stay with Olivia and Jordan at their house where it's a little more routine for her. She won't feel as much pressure. She'll be surrounded by her friends, which when someone is a teenager and they're going through that, being surrounded by their teenagers and being surrounded by their peers is almost always the best thing for them. So that's Layla. um oh, Carrie, she was able to talk Carrie down, and Carrie was saying how Carrie wanted to kill herself, but she was able to talk Carrie down, and Carrie said that the where she felt the most at ease and most like herself was back at the treatment center. So I'm assuming that Layla took her back to the treatment center. So Jordan, there's really nothing really going on with Jordan. He is saying how he knows that his dad is still Billy is still mad at him. Remember, Jordan was working out before he was supposed to. So Billy was very upset about the fact that Jordan had been secretly training, even though he wasn't cleared by his doctor from his concussion protocol. So then who else is there? I guess that's really it. That's really it. So, championship game. So, the championship game picks up where it left off right away, where Beverly is playing against Crenshaw. Remember, they had that huge blow up fight um at the end of last episode. So they're out playing now and it's going head to head. It's a tight game. Spencer leaves halfway through the game when Grace comes up and talks to Billy on the sidelines. He finds out that Coop has been shot. So Spencer leaves the game, and it's all going to come down to not Beverly, Crenshaw having the ball. They're down by 5, and they need to get a touchdown in order for them to win the game. So the one quarterback, I cannot think of that boy's name ever, with the big afro, the nappy afro, he is quarterbacking in the game. He gets in, and he's able to very unrealistically break through all these tackles, and he gets in for the touchdown, and the refs wave it off and say that he was short even though he's clearly over the line. So it's heartbreaking, and it's like, I mean, I hate to say it, but they were not going to let that black school win. They were not going to let that black school win the championship. So while this is going on, Spencer is at the hospital. Now, beginning of the episode, we see him at a tombstone at the cemetery. He's talking to someone's grave, saying that how his senior year was supposed to be the best year of his life. He got the scholarship to the Division 1 school. He is playing a championship game. Everything is like set in stone for him. He was able to help save the school and, I guess save the city, big up the community. So he's feeling like everything should be right on par. Like life should be great right now. And he's wondering why it's not. So we're assuming that he's talking to Coop because we know that Mo shot her last season. So we switch over. Spencer's at the hospital now, and they're saying that Tamia Coop is in, critical condition. They're working on her. They have to get her stable so they can have surgery with her. Um, it's Spencer's mom is there, of course. Coop's father, we know that Coop's mother cannot deal with the fact that her daughter is gay. We have Patience is there, and then Spencer comes in with Olivia coming in close behind because she is being like supportive girlfriend and friend this entire episode. So they're going through this back and forth where like they see Coop on the table and they're wondering what's going on. They're not getting any updates about her. So like everybody's just kind of like WTF. Meanwhile, they kind of switch to like the future, which I guess is like a couple, probably the next day. It's going back and forth between tonight when she gets shot and then a couple days later, where Spencer is saying how he is not going to go to college at Toledo State because he doesn't want to leave his family. He doesn't want to leave with Coop the way that it is. And everybody is like, why would you throw away your future? And they're talking about Coop in the past tense. So they're like, if Coop was here, she wouldn't want, if she was able to say it, she wouldn't want you to throw away your future. And then his Darnell comes back, and it's like they're doing this whole intervention for Spencer because like why wouldn't you want to sign the letter of intent and go to college and on the scholarship? So it's kind of like, and this is what like irritates me about Spencer, the fact that he has this constant woe is me slash savior complex where he constantly feels he constantly feels like he has to be the one to save everything. He feels like the weight of the show, the weight of the city and the community, and hell, probably the whole African American race falls on him. And it's like the world does not revolve around you like that. So that really irritates me about Spencer. So they're telling Spencer to have you talked to Billy about it. And he's like, no, he don't want have nothing to do with me. And then we kind of see a scene with Laura and Billy, and Laura is telling Billy like, you can't blame Spencer for what happened with Jordan. Granted, yeah, they shouldn't have done it, but Jordan is more at fault because Jordan put himself at risk. So it's like, how long are you going to punish him? And to me, it's kind of weird that Billy is even going this hard at him. You know what I mean? Because what if it was like just a kid off the street that Spencer was out training with, or if he was training with by himself? Like, it's weird how his anger is being so not even misdirected, but just being so directed solely at Spencer. So we cut back and we see all these different scenes of everybody trying to talk Spencer into signing the letter, going to school. Meanwhile, they're including these flashbacks to now the Spencer's friends from both Crenshaw and Beverly are showing up at the hospital to support him, and support patients and Coop's family while they're waiting to hear about her. While they're there, Spencer gets a text message, and it is Preach. Patience follows him outside, and they're talking, and Preach kind of tells them what happened. He said Coop is, she's hard headed. I told her to let me handle Mo putting them drugs on her bus. She wanted to do it herself, so I followed her. Mo put out a gun on her. I shot Mo, and then Mo shot Coop. And Patience was like, so you saved her? And Preach was like, yeah, but I have two strikes. Coop's blood is all over me. Drove her to the hospital. I had to leave, but don't worry because I'm gonna end up going to jail now because Mo is dead. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. I mean, good for Mo being dead, but Preach been trying to get his life on the up and up. And I feel like ever since Preach has been messing around with Coop, he just keeps getting into shit after he keeps getting into stuff after stuff after stuff. And I have said off rip, like, Coop is the reason for all of this. Almost everything that has happened on this show has been to me a Coop's fault. It has been. So then we find out that Coop is in, they're taking her to surgery. When she gets out of surgery, she is now in a coma. So they don't know if she's gonna wake up, and I'm like, because she just couldn't take her tail home and not try to go confront a known gangster. But all right. So Spencer is at home with Darnell and Olivia, and they're talking, still trying to convince him, like, why would you throw this away? And Spencer is still that my mind is made up. My mind is made up. I'm gonna stay here. This is what's best for me and my family. How would not going to college be best for you? I guess, like, what are you going to do at home? What do you plan on doing for money? Are you gonna go to a community college? Like, Spencer didn't think any of that out. He just, ugh, Spencer gets on my nerves, y'all. So then we see he is out. Where is Spencer? Spencer's out somewhere. I forgot where he was, but he gets a text message, and it's somebody letting him know that it was like good news about Coop. So he runs to the hospital. He comes in, and she was like, "I'm sorry, who are you?" Like mess, like and like she didn't have any memory. And I said, "Woo, child, she didn't get shot in the head. Was she in the coma that long?" And come to find out, it's been 3 days, and she was just messing with Spencer. Um, so because Coop is now up and awake, he now thinks that, he's able to continue on with life and he can sign the letter. He still has not signed the letter of intent though. So he goes to see Billy and he's like, sorry that we didn't win the game. Um, I thought that Coop waking up would make me, more likely to sign the letter, and I can't bring myself to sign it. I don't know why. And Billy reads him. So Billy kind of like is super short with him, doesn't want to look him in the eye, kind of like brushing him off, like, oh, go ahead, boy, do something, do what you want to do. And then Billy finally just kind of goes off and was like, no matter, because Spencer was like, I'm sorry that I left the game and we didn't win. And Billy was like, I don't care what the official results say. We won. There's no instant replay. We got that touchdown. We are the champions. We are the official champions. I don't care what they say. He said, and we did it without Spencer James. And I said, here we go. Here we go. And Billy was like, I'm not saying it to be rude, but we did it without you. We didn't need you to do it. We can win without you. You aren't the savior of this team. Then he was like, the reason that you have not signed this form is because you are so scared. It's not because you're scared of going away. You're scared that everybody will be perfectly fine even when you leave. And I said, if that ain't some real, because Spencer does feel like he has to, Spencer feels like the world and his family and the community are going to fall apart without him. Spencer wants to be needed. He has to be needed. And it's when he's not needed in that way, then he doesn't know what to do. You know what I mean? And the way Billy read him down, I said, okay, Billy, because that's everything that I've been saying for this past whatever. And Spencer is like, I am sorry for what happened with Jordan. And Billy goes into this tirade of, you were supposed to protect him. You should have come and told us. And I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Spencer should have went and told Billy and Laura, Jordan is out here trying to play, trying to practice, trying to work out, before he's ready to come off of concussion protocol. Now, if that causes Jordan to be mad at you for, a couple years, whatever, you're gonna have to get over that, because that could have saved his life. Because let's be real, they were playing a very, very dangerous game. Anything could have happened, and Jordan would have been out, out. You know what I mean? So Spencer kind of took Billy's beating, verbal beating, and we see him back at the cemetery, and he is at his father's headstone. And he said that he always pictured that he would sign his letter of intent to a D1 school with him. So he's doing it together with him there. Um, and then to wrap up Coop, the police comes in when she's awake because Preach and Patience are there, and they're asking Coop, do they know who shot her? And she was like, Mo did. She shot me, and then I shot her. And the officer was like, but where's the gun? And she was like, I don't know. I woke up and I was just here. And Preach was trying to like turn himself in, and Patience is looking. And I thought Patience was mad that Coop was trying to protect Preach, but Patience realized, like everybody else has, that the reason that Coop is always in these situations is because she puts herself there, which I've been saying since I started watching this show. Coop continually puts herself into these positions and into these spaces where she causes more trouble for herself than she absolutely needs to. But I mean, she's still alive, girl, so okay. But I think it's gonna cause a real strain in her relationship with Patience, because Patience is starting to see now that everybody is constantly trying to get you out of trouble, and you're constantly like bringing yourself back into situations that people have to try to save you from. So I don't know what's going to happen with their relationship. I'm interested to see how the show is going to go, because they have the spinoff, the Homecoming show, which is going to be set on the HBCU campus. So interested to see how that's going to go. But I am Tammy. If you are still here, please subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up the video. Let's talk about it down below. How did you feel about the series premiere?